Hey class, let's talk about the Victorian Literature Project. This year it's going to be a more independent project that you'll do at home. 20 points of this project are for a little group presentation that you'll do, and the other 80 points will come from your reading and assessment of the novel. So this is just going to give us a broad overview of Victorian literature, and we'll go in depth in a different context. But this is such a good book. It really reflects what was going on during this time period. So it'll be a pretty quick project, a quick read. You'll do this by yourself, and we'll talk about the different things that you'll turn in just a minute. But the first thing I want to talk about is what we call the novel surveys. This is 20 out of 100 points that you get on this project. The purpose of this part of the project is just to get an overview of the different novels that were written during this time, namely by female authors who were emerging during the Victorian era. So that was a really influential time for women writers, and many of our classic pieces in British lit come from the Victorian era. So each person will be in a group of two, and you'll pick one of these books below. So we'll have sign up in class, and what you're going to do with your partner is research your assigned book and the author. And you'll have one day in class to work on this, January 28th, but then the rest you'll need to do independently. And there are four books that we're going to look at: Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and Emma by Jane Austen. And these have different due dates depending on what book you're reading. And so you'll have to create a 10 to 12 minute presentation over your novel. And I'm asking you guys to use either the Google Sheets or a Prezi, anything that's online. A web-based program makes it a lot easier than if you did PowerPoint. So please don't do PowerPoint or Keynote. Let's make this really simple. Just do Google Sheets, or not Google Sheets, Google Slides or Prezi. And then you'll create a handout that you'll give to the whole class and one copy to me. So I think there are 10 of us, 10 copies that you need to make. And so presentation and a handout. So here are the things that you do to get this 20 points. You'll make a Prezi or a Google presentation with a link. Turn into Emoto the night before your presentation, so I'll have that on there. Just one of you turn in a quick link to that. If you do Prezi, make sure you have your sharing settings turned on correctly and you're turning in the right link. Same thing for Google, the Google Slides. You have to share it with me. So you have to use my email address and share it with me, and I'll make sure to put that on the Edmodo turn-in slot. And then you'll make handouts for students to fill in information that go along with your presentation. So that could look several ways. It could be an outline, it could be paragraphs with blanks, whatever you think will work for you. And you have to put your MLA sources at the end of the handout. I'm assuming you're going to be using sources for this, and it's not acceptable to copy and paste from a source. You'll need to reword. A lot of times you'll have to condense. We don't have to know every single portion of the author's life or every single detail that happened in the novel. Just make it really simple. Things that are the most important that you want to include on your handout. So that you'll give a hard copy out on the day of the presentation. It's not a quiz, it's just a handout for notes. You'll need two sources from usually from the internet. I'll show you some in just a minute. And you'll need to cover the following, so make sure that this is part of your presentation in your handout. So you'll identify the story title, the protagonist, the antagonist, the setting, foil characters, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Just do an overview. Please don't spend too much time harping on the details of what happened in the book. Just pick the main things that happened. What was the main conflict between characters and with the main character? There's always some internal conflict. Just focus on those. You don't have to go into all the details of the book. Then give a little bit about the life and times of your author. So take your author, research her life. What was she good at? What was her family like? When did she publish her book? Did she come across any obstacles in her way? Things like that. And the times of your author would be the Victorian era. So you might want to say something about what it was like for a woman to write during this time, or what was going on with social class during this time, and include those there. The purpose of that point is just to show us how the author could have been affected. Choose 2 central themes in the novel and discuss them. So pick 2 that you have enough to talk about that are interesting, and discuss how maybe a character revealed a theme, or maybe something happened in the novel plot-wise that revealed this theme, or maybe there was some sort of lesson in it or whatever. So discuss the themes in the novel and elaborate on how the author chose to write about that theme. Was there a message behind that? Remember, theme is a universal application from the novel. It's a universal idea about humanity, or human ambition, human destiny, and things like that. Discuss the messages about gentlemen and ladies in the novel. This is really easy. You'll be able to find this pretty simply on any source that you would look up for this novel. So the Victorian era was, the Victorian era novels all had a statement about gentlemen and ladies. What does it mean to be a gentleman and a lady in that time period? Then discuss the main social message in the novel. What is it saying about society? That can kind of tie back to your theme as well, and that's totally fine. But this one's specifically asking you about society. And then lastly, if there are any archetypes or allusions in the novel, talk about those and give some examples. You might not have that in there, but if there are, please share them. And I want you guys to feel free to use Spark Notes for finding the plot outline. It's a really easy way to get the plot outline. Remember, you're not reading this book. You're just giving us an overview, so you have to use something like Spark Notes, and that's totally fine. Make sure you put that on your Works Cited page. Another great website I want to show you is victorianweb.org. There are so many resources on there. I'll show you that in just a second, and then you can use any other sources that are worthy, and I say that to mean don't use someone's blog or something like that. Educational websites are great. You can usually find a professor website for their class that you can use, and that's totally fine. Okay, here is victorianweb.org, and don't be fooled by the terrible layout of this website. It's actually a really great resource. This is what it looks like on the homepage, and it's one that you'll have to click around and find things, and everything's linked, and there's no real great navigational way to look through this. But I just want you to know that if you want to Google Victorian Web Lady, Victorian Web Gentleman, Victorian Web Society, it'll take you to one of these subpages on here. So for instance, let's look at social history. Basically, it gives you a list of more links. So it gives you a title. I want to talk about race, class, and gender issues. Let's see what this has to say about social class. And then you can go in here and read a little bit to give you some background. Sometimes you can Google Victorian Web Wuthering Heights or something, and it'll take you to a link in here. So this is there as a resource for you. I think there's one in here about gentlemen and ladies, but again, you might just want to Google it to take you to that subpage. So please use this. SparkNotes is fine too, and any other sources. Okay, so that's all that the novel survey is. Again, it's just an overview. You do not have to read the book. I want you to start reading Sense and Sensibility, which is worth the other 80 points. So for Sense and Sensibility, you're basically going to complete 4 complementary assignments for Sense and Sensibility. That's what S&S is. So first of all, you'll complete a cultural context analysis, and you're going to type a 1-page document about the cultural context of the book setting and the social class of the characters. Address the major events of the era, social norms, and typical concerns of the people living in this geographical area and era. Include any outside sources on a separate works cited page. Again, Victorian Web's going to help you here. And also Spark Notes, because that'll give you some book context. So that's just worth 5 points. Then you'll do author's background, where you type a 1-page about the author's background. You can read that, but basically, I want you to find out what was important about this person. Were they born into a wealthy family, a poor family? Did they win an award? Was her mother a poet or a criminal? You know, what is the most important thing about the author that probably influenced her work? Number 3 is worth 20 points. That's your response journal. This is a standard dialectic journal, and we'll look over the guidelines in a minute. You'll do 20 dialectic journals. They're 1 point a piece for a total of 20 points. And lastly, the last big portion of this is your presentation. So you're going to choose a question that's written below, and you'll prepare a 5 to 7 minute presentation for the class. And there are guidelines below. And presentations will take place on February 25th. And then, of course, you get 5 points. You need to include a works cited page in MLA format with all the sources that you used in the project. So what you'll do is you'll print off number 1, number 2, print off number 3 if you typed it, or include your handwritten. You're going to turn those in on February 25th, the day that you're going to give your presentation. Oh, and your works cited page. So I would go ahead and pick one of your topics before you even start reading the book. So you can read these. They're mostly thematic questions and character questions. That's why we can do this independently, because we're basically focusing on the character and the theme of the book. So there's so much you can write about. Pick one and just track your topic throughout the book. And so you don't necessarily need to understand every tiny detail that happens in the book. I want you to really focus on how the characters are written and how the theme is presented in the book. What is Austen saying about her society that she was living in that moment, that she's growing up in and was making her future? And there's got to be something that she is saying in this book about that. And that's it. So you can pick whatever topic you want. And so you'll need to use credible outside sources to support your position. So you have to have 2 sources. So 3 total with the novel. I'm assuming that you're going to reference the novel. So of course you need to put Sense and Sensibility on the works cited page. It's just a 5 to 7 minute speech. You don't need a PowerPoint or anything visual. I just want you to get up there and tell us your speech. So here are the requirements. Make sure it's 5 to 7 minutes long. You need to practice at home after you've written it all. I would practice it 2 or 3 times. You need to include 3 total sources, and in your speech, you need to reference the source. So you need to say something like, according to Victorian researcher Bob Mills, Jane Austen, da 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 da. So you're including that that part of your speech that shows that you conducted research. So that makes you more credible. Speak loudly and clearly, answer your questions, have an introduction and conclusion, maybe something really interesting to bring up your topic that you're focusing on. Your body of your speech needs to be relevant and interesting. Again, you don't have to go into all the minutiae of the novel. Just go over what was most important from your reading. And again, use your sources to support your argument. No random sources that end up on your works cited page that you never referenced in your speech. And then you'll turn in a works cited page in MLA format. So that's it. So you're not turning in a typed speech. I don't want that. I just want you to give your speech. And however you want to do it, if that's an outline or note cards, that's fine. I don't want you to read from a page. So that's why I say practice. Practice taking notes and practice reading from your notes. So let's talk really quickly about your dialectics journals entries. They need to look like this. So this is our example from The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. You'll need to have 3 columns. The first one is the passage, and I want you to go ahead and put the relevant quote in there. Don't just do this deal where you put like, you start the quote and then you do ... Okay, you're missing the purpose of the quote, which was to show, oh gosh, Control V, okay, which was to show everything else that they carried. So if you take that out, it's not going to make sense. You're not going to get the points for that. So make sure you've typed or written out the whole appropriate quote that you're going to be talking about. If it's something really long, if you're talking about an entire chapter, that's fine. You can write in there like in reference to chapter 3, but then I still want you to put something, a quote that's indicative of what you're talking about. Okay, so include some sort of quote. Put the page number on there so you can reference it later for your speech. And then this is where you have to include your comments and questions. you won't get a point if you just ask a question and you don't answer it. So that doesn't count as anything. It's just you asking a question. So we're pushing you to the higher level. So higher level of understanding this novel. So you'll want to give any information that you know. You might want to even provide for your idea of what's going to happen, but it needs to be some sort of analysis. Like Austen includes this in the novel because she's showing da 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 da, and you talk about the theme. Or I wonder why this character was acting this way. Maybe later they'll do this, and I think this because this happened. And it has to be substantial, at least 3 sentences to count as a dialectic journal. And dialectic, again, it just means you talking with the text. Like, Austen, what are you doing in this novel right now? So it's okay to ask questions, but make sure you try to answer them. That's going to give you points. You can read this on your own about how to choose a passage from the text, but basically you need to look for something that seems significant, powerful, thought-provoking, or puzzling. You might get through the book and later look back at that journal and think that wasn't really significant in the grand scheme of things, and that's okay. I just want you to explore it as you go. And then make sure you respond to the text in that third column, and you can have these basic responses or higher level responses. These are really what you want to aim for, is a higher level response, is where you analyze, make connections, discuss ideas, and analyze and things like that. If you're stuck, use a simple sample sentence starter. That's okay. So when you do your dialectic journals, you don't have to evenly space them throughout the novel. It's totally up to you how you choose to turn in your 20 dialectic journal entries. But the main focus of it is for you to pick something one of the topics, and just kind of trace that as you're reading it. And hopefully it'll help you as you write your speech. So don't waste time exploring something that maybe doesn't have to do with your speech. I mean, you could do that a few times, but we're just trying to streamline this whole project. So it's really simple and straightforward. And so that's it. So you'll get to sign up in class for the novel survey, and then you can pick whatever topic you do. Some of you might pick the same topic, and that's totally okay. And that's it.